Amadeus makes the experience of travel better for everyone everywhere by inspiring innovation, partnerships, and responsibility to people, places, and planet. Our technology powers the travel and tourism industry, inspiring more open ways of working, more connected ways of thinking, centered around the traveler. Our open platform connects the global travel and hospitality ecosystem, from startups to big industry players and governments too. Together, redesigning the travel of tomorrow. Amadeus, it's how travel works. Visit us to know more, amadeus.com.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Skift India podcast, your go-to source for all things travel in India. I'm Peyton Doma Bhutia, and today we have Krishna Rathi, Country Director of Agoda in India, joining us. Stay with us as we delve deeper into Agoda's focus on India and its implications for the travel industry. Welcome, Krishna.
Thank you, Peyton, for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Krishna, and lots of exciting things happening in India for Agoda. You recently announced Ayushmann Khurana as your brand ambassador, and you also launched your first ever TV ad in India. And then, of course, there was news that came of Agoda joining forces with Indian e-commerce giant Snapdeal. So, Krishna, if you concentrate on the Snapdeal, collaboration, what was the driving force behind it?
So, before we go into that, just a quick background, right? Like we have been pretty invested in India for last few years, and now you see it in terms of our brand campaign, in terms of our partnerships as well. And one of the key components in India, what we see is it's one of the richest startup ecosystem in the world, right? Which means that there are a lot of people already online and using one or the other app for their one of the other use cases. Right. So one of the core parts of ours for India is to work with as many partners as possible in India. And that's what led to the Snapdeal part of it. Snapdeal has its own set of users which would like to experience what Agoda has to offer. And that is one of the reasons you see, but you will see a lot more of these coming in future as well.
Krishna, is this also a means to, reach more inside India, into the smaller tier 2, tier 3 cities as well, to give you more access to that?
Yes, like that's one of the key focus areas as well. As I said, like these are users already brought online by multiple e-commerce and fintech players, and it gives you a good access. They're already online. They're already doing transactions. They are enabled to make payments online as well. So it makes it's a win-win for both of us, right? Like for them, they get new product to showcase to their existing customers. For us, we get access to some of their existing customers.
Great. So to go back to my earlier point, Krishna, I've spoken about your collaboration with celebrities. Of course, you've launched your first TV ad in India with Ayushmann Khurana. So, recently I was working on an article about how helpful are collaborations with celebrities, especially for a market like India, where, people, film celebrities and cricket celebrities resonate a lot with the audience.
Correct. So
how helpful are these for brands like you? Because, of course, you also have Make My Trip, collaborating with Ranveer and Alia. Then even Ease My Trip, which was not doing that for a long time, had Vijay Raz on board. And then, of course, Ixigo has Jackie, Sunil Shetty. So everybody is collaborating with celebrities.
Yeah. So I'll talk a bit more about us because that's where I have a lot more insight than what others are doing. So at the heart of it, of course, you need a product which you can market, right? And at the start of the call, I mentioned that there's a lot of work we have done before we even got to a stage where we want to do a brand campaign, right? So it's like customizing for India, localizing for India, and actually finding what is the value prop the Indian customer would like. And that's why if you look at the campaign, it says see the world for less. And one of your older articles, you had mentioned that Indians like value for money. It's not that they like cheap,
Correct.
they like value for money. They are big spenders. And that is what this campaign is aimed at, is that, hey, listen, we'll get the best value for your money, right? And once we reach that stage where we know that we have a very good product, which we should, and the Indian customers would want to know, is when this process begins of the brand campaign. And of course, in India, star power is big. And this is how I explain it, is like if someone is willing to pay like a $10-20 to watch you on screen for 3 hours, that's massive, right? Like that's a very, very big pull. And then these stars are capable of bringing millions of Indians to watch them. Right.
Also, I think it also gives a sense of trust factor is also there when a star endorses something.
Yes, to some extent, yes. But like for brands like Agoda, which are multi-country, which have been around for years, I think trust is the core part of our brand. It just helps deliver the story better. So for us, and then coming to your specific questions, yes, it does help. Ayushmann is one of the most talented stars we have in India, and he has his own loyal base of customers. And when he says it, and like if you look at it, it's a fun brand. Agoda is a fun brand. It is linked to travel. We want to create memories for you. And when Ayushmann delivers that story, it's very endearing. People love it. The initial reaction, if the ad just went live day before yesterday, and if you read the comments, it's all about, oh, this is so fun, this is so cute. So it kind of, accentuates what we want to communicate. So Excellent. On that front, yes, a right mix of celebrity and the brand does help.
Of course, Krishna, you spoke about about the fact that Indians want value for the money, they bang for the buck. They are not, like I had mentioned in my article, that we might say that Indians haggle a lot. So we might say that they're cheap, but they're not cheap in that way. They will spend if they see value in it. India's, and a big example of that is that India's travel industry has been on the rise, and it's showing incredible growth, particularly in outbound travel. And according to, if I may quote Agoda's data, outbound travel searches from India have surged by almost 225%, which is a significant jump when compared to other APAC countries, where the increase, ranged from 30 to 60%. So what's fueling this growth?
So I think one thing, and I think it's a big psychological change which has happened post-COVID. People just love to travel. Like we are seeing, one of the things is the number of time people are traveling, not just internationally, but domestically as well. So I think that is one. And backed with the economic abilities of people, like how the economy has been doing really well. One of the more stable economies through the COVID period. And I think there's a newfound love for travel. It was always there, but it's a lot more now, which shows up in all other indexes you would track. So that's the part of it. And then the best part it is the world is recognizing this as well. And one of the things in the same article where we mentioned about our growth, the countries are now treating India as one of the key focus markets for them as well. And Indians are adventurers. They like to explore. India is a big country, so people have explored the country a lot. And now if you look at in the subcontinent, I also take care of Sri Lanka and Maldives. India is like probably one or two in terms of top inbound origins.
Yeah, I think Sri Lanka is the number one source market, right? And
yes, Sri Lanka is
also
number one.
Made visa-free for Indians.
Correct, visa-free. Thailand just announced 3 days back, it's free visa, no visa, not even free visa. It's no visa till May. So I think there's an increased degree of investment from other destinations to market their destinations to Indians, and Indians backed with ability to spend and good connectivity, right? Like most of the destinations which have become really popular are typically direct flight under 5 to 6 hours and have very, very relaxed visa norms for Indians. For example, Middle East, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Thailand, Vietnam. So you see like a dramatic shift and people willing to try. These are good 1 week holidays. You could go, come back easily. So that has been on the rise. Having said that, I do want to highlight, we also see a similar growth in domestic markets as well. People are exploring closer to home. The one part which I wanted to highlight, the frequency of travel has increased in this. And the third part, which we are very proud of, is bringing international tourists to India. And that is also something which is seeing a decent jump, where now we see people traveling from other markets and then to India.
Amadeus makes the experience of travel better for everyone everywhere by inspiring innovation, partnerships, and responsibility to people, places, and planet. Our technology powers the travel and tourism industry, inspiring more open ways of working, more connected ways of thinking, centered around the traveler. Our open platform connects the global travel and hospitality ecosystem, from startups to big industry players and governments too, together redesigning the travel of tomorrow. Amadeus, it's how travel works. Visit us to know more, amadeus.com.
Okay, Krishna, of course, the Indian travel industry is what the world is looking at right now. And of course, like you said, that Indians are more willing to travel. The frequency of travel has changed, right? So when you say that the frequency of travel has changed, it's no longer, earlier, it would have been maybe one international trip or two international trips per year. But now people would want to, like the domestic trips, they are at, any long weekend, and you can understand, if you see the jam on the roads, you can understand, how Indians are traveling. So what is the role of the Indian middle class in this growth?
I think it's the main engine of the growth for this, right? So, okay, one of the things what we see is the family trips going up a lot more. And that's one of the publications we had done a few months back, also covered this point. So I think this is the segment which now is spending a bit more on travel. And building those experiences might sound a bit preachy, but it's actually true. Like, people do want to spend time together. People do want to take break. And I think COVID played a role where people realized, yes, it's worth being out. It's worth exploring. And I have a very classical example of Goa. Goa used to have an off season, right? Mm-hmm. Where yes, from April onwards, till like the monsoons got over, it was considered off season. Now, if you just go and even look at Google Trends on how Goa performs, and shows up in our bookings as well, it's a perennial destination now. And there's the same thing happening across India, right? If you offer a good experience, people are willing to try more and more. And of course, and all credit to our hospitality industries, they're scaling up to this challenge, right? It was tough post COVID, getting people to travel and also getting people to serve them. And that is, I think, a very commendable job done by our hotel partners, where now they are really serving this increased demand as well.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Krishna, very interesting point about the fact that when Indians travel, they travel with their family, which is usually parents and two children, two kids, and sometimes even the grandparents pulled in. Because usually when we are seeing post-COVID travel trends, it's mostly about how people want to do solo travel. Of course, the solo travel may also be there, but Indians usually like to travel with their families or friends. That's correct, right?
Absolutely. And I was surprised. I joined 3 years back, and I was surprised. I always thought that it will be more of a couple or solo thing. But for us, it's more family, and which is a difference from what we see in other markets. So yeah, people like to travel, and that's why, we do talk about it. We do educate our partners about it. We do try to create value for our customers when they are trying to book more number of rooms. We understand that they are typically traveling with more than 2 people.
Mm-hmm. Krishna, when Omri was here in India, this Agoda CEO, he spoke about this strong alignment between Agoda's core values and the Indian market. He was highlighting the focus on technology, localization, and of course, what you talked about, delivering the best deals to customers. And he was very bullish on India's growth potential. And he had also said that, India's online transactions, travel transactions have surged, and surpassed 2019 levels. And this particular trend is also outpacing the APAC region, because as online bookings are taking center stage. So how does India differ from other countries in the APAC region?
So first and foremost, just to address on what Omri mentioned, and that's how we are working on those things. So first of all, is obviously tech is at the heart of India's most new companies, right? And we leverage that by setting up our tech center here. So like there's a tech center which has come up in the last year itself here, and which is like a now big setup for our, and this is a global tech center based out of India. So that's one of the things, acknowledging the India's tech process, and part of where how do we see this coming up, as in like the India travel segment. We are very, very confident that India is. So just to give you a sense, like there are people, almost 50 million people are expected to travel outside India in 2027. And that's the fastest growing outbound segment, right? Like this is one of the fastest countries in terms of people who will travel outside their country. So that's one, which we are not seeing across APAC. And in terms of tech, what we are seeing is the usage of mobile. So India kind of jumped the broadband and the laptop era. We straight away moved to smartphones and 4G, 5G networks. So that has an impact. Today, we are mobile first, and that's a big thing. So India is second largest in terms of mobile app adoption, only second to China, right? And that's the two big change we see compared to other APAC markets.
Okay. Also, Krishna, the most important thing that we've talked about, about the fact that Indian customers want value for their money. And when they do that, they also want a very high standard of customer service. Have you seen that changing, and how are companies like Agoda catering to that?
So, yeah, like I think at heart of our business, like customers across expect very good services, and India, of course, they're no different. And the best part is they are vocal about it as well. So one thing what we do, and the feedback and the reviews we collect from our partners, the most important part, it's something we look into very, very religiously and take those feedback back at it. But at the heart of it, as I said, the platform is built in a manner to serve our customers in the best way possible. And again, coming back to our core value is we invest a lot of our time and effort in finding that particular hotel which you might be looking at, give them at the right time and at the right price. And that's the most amount of our effort. And as I said, like the brand campaigns only started a year back, but we have been in this market and we've been doing decently well. And it was just based on this value of saying, fine, get the best place at the best price for our partner, for our customers.
And last question, Krishna. So what can the India market look forward to from Agoda? What are some of the exciting developments that are going to happen that you can share with us?
So on two fronts, I can divide it into two parts. I would love to talk about a bit more about our partners who make this all possible. So a few things what we are doing for our partners in India is, again, one of the largest hotel supply in the world in terms of number of unique hotels available in India. So we are investing a lot in making it very, very simple and like pretty much DIY for our partners to come on Agoda and tap into the international demand which is coming, or the domestic demand we are addressing to in India. So that's one. Like literally today, someone can come to our portal and get their property registered in less than 30 minutes, right? So that's one big investment for our partners. And then we do work very closely with, on sustainability. In fact, we are doing a very big event in Goa where we are helping our partners understand how can they be more sustainable. So sustainable tourism is second thing where we are investing a lot. That's on the partner front. Third thing on the consumer side, we'll just keep doing what we are doing, get the best prices for our customers. And now with our ad campaigns, what you see, it will be taken to a lot more people, right? A lot more people will be made aware about it. We are very confident that what we have to offer is something Indians are going to love. They already love, millions of people already love it, but we'll see a good increase on this as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Krishna, and for sharing your insights with us. And that wraps up today's episode talking about Agoda's strategies for the India market. It's an exciting time for the travel industry, with India leading the way in online travel bookings. As always, stay tuned for more exciting updates on travel, hospitality, and aviation in India. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast in your favorite listening app. Thank you very much, Krishna, for having.
Thank you so much.
This has been the Skift India Travel Podcast. Thank you for listening.